We're about 1/4 done with the NBA season already. Isn't it frightening how fast it can go? Enjoy it, because before we know it, it'll be June, and then we're going to have to wait like 3 months and sit through a bunch of baseball coverage until we get the NBA back. This has been a really damn exciting season so far, and there's quite a few potential MVP candidates. Of course, as the season goes along, some of these guys will drop out, of course, but still, there is a decent-sized list of names who, as of right now, based on their performances and future projections, we have to talk about in the MVP race. And by the way, this video is long as hell, so if you need a snack or something, I understand. We're going to start in the Eastern Conference, and we'll start with LeBron, which is always a go-to, of course. 23 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds. He's efficient, around 50% from the field, and his three-pointer is actually a 35%, so shout out to LeBron for not being a black hole when it comes to three-pointers. Even then, he's still one of the guys that you don't actually want to leave open. LeBron's weird. So we all know that LeBron could just go off and do whatever he wants if he really wanted to, but he's taken a slight backseat this season. I say slight because those are still awesome numbers, and Kyrie Irving is actually leading this team in scoring. So it seems for the night-to-night basis, LeBron is content with not putting up a huge point total. I mean, in his last 5 games, there was a game against the Mavericks with which the Cavaliers won in a blowout. He had 19 points. Like, okay. There was one against the Clippers, he finished with 16, which that's admittingly a bad game for him, but it seems like that go 100% mentality throughout the entire regular season, it's not there for LeBron right now. But then again, last night against the Chicago Bulls in a game that I guess you could say is a bit bigger of a game, he had 27, 13, and 5. He also had 8 turnovers, which isn't the best, but it seems like LeBron, he's going to be going up and down in terms of intensity as the season goes along. So that is going to hurt him in his MVP race. But then again, with how LeBron works in his head, when it comes to subtweeting, although he doesn't subtweet anymore, and just the up and downs of him through the regular season, maybe he'll just say screw it and go for the MVP and start averaging like 28, 8, and 8 or something. I don't think he would. I think he wants to manage his body. I mean, the one area of the floor where you can really see how he takes the regular season a little more lackadaisically, if that's even a word, is on defense. I mean, he's not a bad defender, and when he wants to, he can be a fantastic one. But throughout the season, you know, he's going to have times where his guy just drives by him. That happened with Luke, Richard, and Bahamute the other game against the Clippers. Like, he just got right by him on a drive. Jaylen Brown beat him on a couple of drives against the Celtics. Like, that's going to happen with him during the regular season, and that's going to happen with the Cavs overall. Like, there's been some games this year where they just said, screw it, we're just going to win this game with our offense. They did that against the Raptors. I mean, they're like 12th or 13th in defensive rating so far this year. And actually, because they've lost 3 in a row, they've dipped to 17th in defensive rating. I'm not worried about the Cavaliers. They're still going to make the finals. But in terms of LeBron winning an MVP, if this team ends up with about 55 wins, which is normal for a LeBron James-led team, and he maintains the 23 points, it's tough to really see him winning the MVP. But then once the playoffs come around, and especially once the NBA Finals come around, then we're going to see that out-of-body experience from LeBron James. But it definitely hurts his MVP chances during the season. And I know I just said that I'm going to be starting with the Eastern Conference, and now I'm going immediately into Kawhi. Don't talk about it, it's fine. Kawhi Leonard, he's been dipping in his last 5 games. He's down to 22 points. That's iffy. To open up the season, he was putting up like 25, 26 points per game and being super assertive for San Antonio, and he definitely is being a bit more assertive. I mean, he has the ball in his hands more often. He's in the pick and roll more often, which is huge. But still, if he's going to be dipping down to his 22 a game over the last 5 and he maintains that, your chances of the MVP are a little slim. I also want the playmaking to improve. He's had stretches this season where he's consistently put up about 4 to 5 assists per game, but he's also had times where he's down to 2 or 3, so if he can maintain around 4 or 5 assists, which I think he can, just given how much the ball is in his hands, then I think Kawhi could have a realistic chance. In terms of wins, I mean, it's San Antonio. They know how to win games. They went on a 9 or 10 game winning streak where a lot of the games were on the road. So they definitely are going to be towards the top of the conference as we expect. My only question is, how assertive is Kawhi going to be as the season goes along? Because the difference between 21 points and 3 assists and 26 points and 5 assists, that's enough to get you that MVP. Next up, Jimmy Butler, who is just taking off, man. The three-pointers are huge, 38% from the floor. His ability to create, attack inside, and then also hit from outside just makes him very tough to defend. I mean, he's attempting 10 free throws a game. In his last 5 games, he's attempting 12 free throws a game, so he's just attacking the rim like a freaking crazy person. You remember Allen Iverson, how effective he was at beating guys off the dribble, beating them off of pick and rolls, getting into the paint, drawing contact, and getting to the line so much that even though he was inefficient, it didn't really matter because of how many times he shot free throws. Jimmy Butler is similar, except he's 6'7", 230 pounds, and he's also efficient. So I think I just weirdly said Jimmy Butler's better than Allen Iverson, which, I mean, if I did, okay, but Jimmy's a beast is what I'm getting at. And I also like that he has moments in games where he cuts to the basket. Of course, the Chicago team is a really smart one, so while they have surprised people with their three-point shooting, we also knew that Dwayne Wade and Jimmy Butler were going to be able to cut to the basket, which they have been doing as well. And Jimmy's just overall game has been awesome, so is there a chance the Chicago Bulls could maintain a second seed in the Eastern Conference and Jimmy Butler could have a realistic chance at the MVP? Because, of course, to win MVP, you got to be towards the top of your conference. You can't be like the 5th seed. Well, the big surprise for them has been their shooting overall. We thought Rondo, Butler, and Wade would provide no spacing for each other. Rondo's shooting 35% from 3. Not taking that many, but, I mean, I guess he's, you got to pay attention to him. Dwayne Wade is shooting 37%, taking about 3.5 per game. And then Jimmy is shooting 38% while also taking 3.5 per game. So basically, they erased the they can't shoot narrative by being able to shoot. Are they going to be able to maintain that throughout the season? I think Jimmy will be able to because he's actually had good three-point shooting seasons in the past. Dwayne Wade for his entire career has not been good from outside. So I do have concerns that he's going to be able to maintain that over an 82-game season. And Rondo, I mean, he's taking a little over 1 a game, so it's not like his mentality is to shoot three-pointers, but if you watch the games, it's like teams are going to give him the shot, and occasionally he's going to put it up. So I don't know. I mean, I'm naturally hesitant that they are going to be able to maintain this throughout the entire season, which of course can drop the wins a bit. Now defensively, I think they'll be fine. You got Robin Lopez, Taj Gibson, and Jimmy Butler, which is probably the best small forward through center trio when it comes to defense in the league, and that can make up for Rondo and Wade really not being that good defensively. Another thing with the Bulls is their rebounding rate. They're second in rebounding in the league. They're also the best offensive rebounding team in the league. A lot of that has to do with Taj Gibson as well as Robin Lopez. That creates extra possessions, and that's the type of thing that allows you to maintain your record throughout the season. So there's a real chance if Jimmy Butler maintains this 25 points, 4 assists, 6.5 rebounds while remaining efficient, and then this team holds on for like maybe 50 wins, maybe. I think they have the roster to do it. I think the shooting could fall off, but I think overall defensively, rebounding-wise, Jimmy Butler being awesome, I think they have a real chance. Start with Steph Curry and Kevin Durant because they're on the same damn team. Durant, why the hell did you sign to a 73-win team? Kevin Durant, 28 points, 5 assists, 9 rebounds. He's shooting 56% from the floor, 42% from 3. He's fit into Golden State's dynamic so well. He's just another guy who can run off of screens, cut to the basket, pull up for 3, grab a rebound, take it up coast himself. I mean, Durant's fantastic, there's no surprise here. But he is adding another dynamic to this team as he is someone who they dump the ball into the post to. Sometimes he goes isolation. Sometimes they do the Curry-Durant pick and roll to get a switch, and then he just goes one-on-one. So that's the one thing that they were kind of missing last season. Or maybe not missing, but just a style of play they weren't really willing to do with someone like Curry. So I think if they keep asking Durant to have these moments of going one-on-one, then yeah, he has a realistic chance at the MVP. because we imagine this team's going to be the 1 seed in the Western Conference. Durant's going to be putting up 28, 9, and 5. Yeah, those are MVP numbers. And then if we look at Steph, I mean, it's his normal thing. He runs pick and rolls. If you sag off of him for even a split second, he's going to drop a three-pointer on you. He'll run across screens when Livingston's in the game. I mean, he'll run across screens even when the starting lineup's in the game. Steph's doing his normal thing. He's putting up 27, 4, and 6. Like, if I had to pick between Durant or Curry, I slide towards Durant a little bit. I mean, the difference in the rebounding is pretty drastic, and he's also averaging more points, and he's a little more efficient than Curry is at the moment, so I guess Durant would be the one I give a little bit more of an edge to over Steph Curry. Now our final Eastern Conference player, Demar Derozan, who of course was like lights out and then some to start the season. He has cooled off a little bit. His last 5 games, he's putting up 21 points per game, which of course is not enough to give you the MVP. But given how explosive of a scorer he was towards the beginning of the season and the consecutive 30-point games with his mid-range jumper and his just relentlessness attacking the basket, I assume he can maintain that. But the big thing is the Raptors have won 5 in a row. And a huge reason for it, one of which is Damari Carroll, who's been awesome in his last 5 games. He's shooting 48% from 3, 59% from the field overall. Damari was always a smart offensive player with Atlanta, someone who could stretch the floor, as well as if he sees an opportunity to score inside, whether it be from a cut or whatever, he can do that as well. He's coming back from injury, but if he can maintain that, that'll make this team better, because he struggled last season when he was actually playing, and he's been struggling this year as well. And then Patterson as well. 52% from 3 over the last 5 games, 48% from the field. These two were not making shots to start the season, which makes DeRozan's performances even crazier because he was really carrying an offensive load. If he's got guys to kick out to now with Damari and Patterson making their shots, that just makes this team better. That gives them a chance to be higher up in the conference. They're 13-6 right now. They've won 5 in a row. They're looking good. But it also makes the defense not have to just swarm on DeMar. You know, if guys are hitting shots around him, then they're going to have to do some one-on-one defense, and we've seen this season when you go one-on-one with DeRozan, he's almost impossible to stop because of his pull-up jumper. So if DeMar can maintain 27, 28 points per game with the mid-range and the inside attacking, and then the rest of the team around him can continue to make their shots, I think DeMar's got a real chance at MVP. Now, of course, like, is LeBron James a better player than Jimmy Butler and DeRozan? Yes, but we know how the regular season MVP works, man. Like, it's the guy who goes the hardest and puts up the best numbers, and the team ends up with like 50-plus wins. You got a real chance at it. Also, Kyle Lowry shooting over 40% from 3, so there's another guy for DeRozan to kick out to. Russell Westbrook is interesting for OKC. Of course, he's averaging a triple-double at the moment with 31 frickin' points. Holy hell, Russ. His efficiency has dipped a little bit. The last 5 games, he's not efficient at all. One gripe I have to give with Russ. He's hunting for rebounds, which is not good because it's when you choose to leak inside the paint to grab a rebound rather than play defense. We've seen Kevin Love do this. I mean, there's a clip on Twitter of Russ trying to grab a rebound. The other team gets the offensive board when like all the big men were in the paint. It really made no sense for Russ to go inside. And then they kicked it out to Russ's guy for an open three-pointer. He missed the shot, but like, that is bad basketball on Westbrook's part. If the paint's wide open, okay, but it wasn't, so. But still, Westbrook is a plus for this OKC Thunder team, and the thing with this is, like, how good can the Thunder be? They've won 4 in a row, and if we're looking at their roster, Oladipo has been awesome, 17 points, efficient from everywhere, over 40% from 3. He's definitely benefiting from Russ at times, because he never had someone like Westbrook who could suck in so much defense when he was on the Magic. But 17 points a game with 3 assists also says, like, Oladipo is creating his own offense as well. He was always a guy who could put the ball on the floor in Orlando, So it's nice to have that second guy with Westbrook. It makes the team a little bit tougher to defend overall, which of course can lead to more victories, which is what you need in an MVP case. Steven Adams can finish well inside, Enes Kanter can finish well inside. Jeremy Grant has been a huge surprise since they traded for him. I mean, he was always an athlete, but he's shooting 38% from 3, so that's someone else that he can kick out to. Sabonis has also been fantastic from 3 as well, so there's a lot of guys that Westbrook can kick out to, which allows the defense, or makes the defense, unable to just swarm Westbrook, and when they choose to, he's got someone to pass out to. I mean, they're 13th in offensive rating, 11th in defensive, so that was a voice crack. So it's going pretty well. I guess my fears with them could be if they just don't have enough offense outside of Westbrook and Oladipo. Westbrook's playing 35 minutes a game. That's still 13 minutes that he's not in the game, which can be pretty crucial. That can be the difference between you winning 50 games and you winning like 45, depending on how you're able to manage your lineup when he's not in the game. I would have Oladipo in there, definitely. And Billy Donovan has gotten better as a head coach as he's gone along, so I do trust him to be able to do that, but that is a thing. When Westbrook's not in the game, if you're able to maintain yourself. Besides that, I don't expect them to get worse defensively. Robertson, Steven Adams, Oladipo are all really good on that side of the floor. Jeremy Grant's good on that side of the floor, so I guess it's just a matter of managing this team when Westbrook's not in the game. That's pretty much it, because everything else I'm pretty confident in. Can they get themselves to 55 wins? That is a bit to ask for, but given that you're in the Western Conference, that's pretty much the type of record you need to have a realistic shot at the MVP, so good luck, Westbrook. I hope you can do it. I should also mention Chris Paul. CP3's been awesome. He's averaging 18 points. I think your chances of the MVP at 18, 9, and 5 are just not good enough numbers, even if he's still one of the best players in the league overall, and the Clippers have been playing really well. He also does choose to make sure everyone else is involved, which is really good of him, but in terms of just winning an MVP, it makes it tough. He's averaging 16 points in his last 5. I just don't think Chris Paul scores enough to have a realistic chance at it. And now James Harden. The amount that Harden is asked to do for this Rockets team is pretty damn insane. It's pretty similar to Westbrook, the amount that Westbrook is asked to do for OKC. James is putting up 28 points, 12 assists, 7.5 rebounds. While maintaining some pretty okay efficiency, he's not been efficient in his last 5, but I'm sure he'll be alright. The Rockets have surprised me a little bit, especially on defense. I figured they were just going to be too damn bad on that side of the floor. And I am still concerned of how they're going to be able to play defense throughout the entire season. But still, Patrick Beverley is a very good perimeter defender. Trevor Ariza, while he has declined, is still good. James Harden is at least a C+ on defense this season. I mean, it's enough, I guess. If you can creep up to 23rd, 22nd in defensive rating while being like the second or perhaps even best offensive team in the league, that might be enough. And the one thing is, yeah, they don't have a lot of defensive players, but because they score so much, they're playing defense in the half court. They can establish their defense, and that definitely makes a difference. Now, I do have some fears with their offense, which is it can be a little too one-dimensional. I mean, we knew what the status quo was going into the season. It's James Harden ISOs, it's James Harden pick and rolls. But I also believe you could run some off-ball stuff for Harden, especially with Beverley back now. Like, yeah, Beverley's not necessarily a creator, but he can definitely handle the ball himself. I mean, if you watch the Warriors game, fourth quarter and overtime, it was give the ball to James Harden and hope something good happens literally every single time. And they managed to win because the Warriors' offense was just as bad for different reasons. But teams catch up on that type of stuff throughout the year. You know, if we're 40 games in and the status quo is still James Harden, do whatever the hell you want in the last 5 minutes, teams are going to find ways to defend that. I mean, hell, in that Golden State game, there were like a couple of possessions in a row where Ryan Anderson just kind of bailed them out with a tough three-pointer, or they didn't really get a shot off until like 4 or 5 seconds left in the shot clock. That's just not productive offense. And that's the sort of thing that I am concerned about, on top of if they're going to be able to maintain their defense throughout the season. But still, I do expect James Harden to put up like 28 points and 10 assists throughout the year, which is definitely MVP numbers. If this team can keep on winning, yeah, I think he definitely has a shot. Anyway, this video was long as hell, which I told you in the beginning, so I gotta get the hell up out of here. Thank you for watching, and shout out to Enes Kanter.